Hi, I'm Snez, personal trainer, healthy lifestyle coach, and your guide to feeling your best. This podcast is a segment from my weekly radio show, Wellbeing Wednesdays, broadcast live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. It's all about sharing real, practical tips to help you move more, eat better, and live healthier without the overwhelm. Let's dive in, shall we? So today I wanted to give you a simple, grounded set of tips to help you feel good, really good over the Christmas and holiday period. And not because you need to be perfect or not because you need to diet your way through December, but because you deserve to just enjoy this season in your body and with your family and friends and not think too much about it. And I think so many of us have done so well this year trying to make some changes, looking after our health, prioritizing our health, learning how to eat better, moving more. And we get to the end of the year and we just feel that a couple of days is going to undo all of that. And this is what I sort of wanted to unpack today. It's this time of year, it's not about being strict, but it is definitely about being self-aware and kind to yourself. And I'm going to take a bit of a different stance on what kind to yourself actually means. And it's not about being kind to yourself in terms of allowing or giving yourself all of the food that your eyes would want to eat. But when I think about kindness around this time of year, I also think about wellness, and I think about avoiding overeating and feeling yuck, and treating your body with respect with the amount of sugar or alcohol you're going to put into the system. So being kind to yourself is super important in terms of this time of year. And every year I'm working with people and they're saying, I finally got through to Christmas and I've been doing so good. I've been so strict and now I've had this big blowout, or I'm worried about having a big blowout, and I'm worried that this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And it's something that comes up a lot. It's something I hear a lot about. I work through people with it a fair amount. So I thought, you know what, let me just put together some tips of how to navigate this time of year. The first step is make sure that you're enjoying everything guilt-free. And I think this is the most important step. You're allowed to enjoy your events. You're allowed to eat beautiful food, share drinks, celebrate, laugh, connect, taste everything that's available to you. Absolutely. You don't need to earn your Christmas lunch with a workout before. You don't need to punish yourself the next day by getting up really early and burning off some of those calories and that sort of thing. And the thing is that your body is so resilient and it's always fighting, just like you are, for wellness, for a steady state, for everything to flow and work perfectly for your survival. So we need to remember we're on the same page with our bodies, and our bodies can handle one meal, one day, one celebration, and it will get through that. It will stabilize. It will deal with all the excess calories or the excess alcohol or sugars or whatever it was that you've had, and it corrects really quickly. It's usually our mind and our guilt that becomes more of the issue, because that guilt is what takes away that joy of eating and that enjoyment. So rather than enjoying that first bite, it takes us quite a few bites when we're feeling quite overfull that we actually start to taste and enjoy the food. The guilt also drives that overeating. And when we remove the guilt, you can naturally make better choices because you're feeling more self-aware, you're looking after yourself, and you know that you could eat whatever you wanted at a particular function or party or whatever it is, whatever food is surrounding you, but there's none of that guilt around it. You're just making simple choices. And you need to just give yourself that permission in this season to enjoy yourself and understand very clearly that one meal isn't going to undo the effort that you've made all year, or it's not going to gain 6 kilos of body fat. It's not going to do that. So let's try and think of it a little bit differently. So the first step is to understand that you can enjoy your events guilt-free. The next thing is, of course, we need to address the overconsumption and managing your calories, but we're going to do it in such a way that we are going to do it without restriction. And so what do we mean by that? So the strategy around that is going to be around managing your intake without dieting. So it's being more intentional with the choices that you're making, the quantity that you're consuming, the speed with which you're eating. So they're the areas that we're going to look at to be able to manage our calorie intake. So the simplest way to do that is to make sure that you, say for example, if you are going out for a Christmas lunch or a Christmas dinner or even Christmas Eve dinner is what we have on. So for example, for myself, we have Christmas Eve at Mum's place, at my side of the family, and I will wake up Christmas Eve morning. I will still have my regular breakfast. I will still have my regular morning snack. I will still have my regular lunch, although it probably won't be a regular lunch because it probably will be at Mum's coordinating the day, but I will still try to eat as much of a regular meal for lunch as I can. So I'll still get some sort of protein, and at Mum's place it'll probably be tuna and salad. That's what she's always got, cans of tuna there for me. So that's what I would more than likely do. And so that when I get to dinner time, it's not like I've saved my calories, because that's such a fallacy. It doesn't quite work out that way when we are consuming, because generally speaking, when we leave ourselves that hungry, or if we put ourselves in a bit of a fast, or we just skip meals until we get to dinner time, the quantity of food that we consume is usually a lot greater than what we would eat over a day anyway. So just make sure that you're eating throughout the day, your regular meals, so that when you get to dinner time, you can face a nice, sensible size meal. Or you may want to leave yourself just that little bit hungry. You might have a lighter lunch to allow for some more space, but you don't want to leave yourself too hungry, which will contribute to the overeating. Make sure that you are going to still look at the portions on your plate and what they're made up of. So fill half your plate with, a quarter to half of a plate of protein, and a quarter plate of protein, half a plate of veggies, and then a quarter plate of carbohydrate. And you're probably thinking, which plate, which number plate? But when you are adding protein and veggies in, it is going to make you feel fuller for longer. And so therefore it probably will knock out some of the other options. Or the hot tip, which is kind of my tip and something that we did a lot of when I was away and eating a buffet breakfast every morning, was we just ate small amounts of, or I did, ate small amounts of everything so that I could taste everything. So if you're thinking about it, you know, if there's some sort of meatballs or there's chicken, and you sort of look at, well, what would I normally consume in terms of meatballs on a regular dinner, and you would probably halve that quantity of the meatballs or a third of those, so that then there's space for the other proteins that may be on the barbecue or being cooked up, that sort of thing. Also make sure that you do leave space for desserts, if desserts are going to be eaten quite soon after the lunch or the dinner, because you may be moving on to a different function. However, if you are sticking around, then give yourself a gap. Wait, if you've had dinner at say 6 or 7 o'clock, then push desserts out to like 9 o'clock. Give yourself that 3 hours till you get to a point where you are experiencing maybe a little bit of hunger, and then enjoy those desserts later on. And yes, look, we're eating too late and all of those, but it's Christmas. Make sure that you pick the things that you genuinely love. So look around and just sort of go, this is another way to restrict calories. You don't need to try everything, but just pick the things that you're going to get most joy out of eating, and then just stopping when you feel satisfied. And take your time with it, and there's always going to be leftovers. So if there's something that you didn't try, you can grab some for the next day or the next meal, and just make sure that you are stopping until you are 80% full and not overstuffed. So we're not restricting, but we're kind of just redistributing the food and just making sure that it's the same amount of energy firstly across the day, but we're also just taking in how much our body actually needs. So the next thing, my tip number 3, is to make sure you hit your protein most days. So make sure that you're getting enough protein, which is going to help keep your energy levels stay full and reduce your cravings. It's also going to make you feel fuller with each of your main meals. So make sure that your protein as well as your veggies are kind of the cornerstone of your plate, and then you can do the other fillers from there. The next thing is to make sure that we understand the holiday weight fluctuations and understand that a lot of the times it's not fat gain. I mean, we will see that sort of a couple of days after Chrissy. You know, the thing is with a lot of the meals that we are eating, they are higher in salt, generally higher in carbohydrate, being eaten later at night, coupled with a decent amount of alcohol. There's obviously a higher volume of food, but we're generally drinking less water because there are so many other things to drink. We're moving less, and that all leads to bloating. And so all of those factors are what contribute to water weight gain and the body retaining water as an inflammatory response to some of those things that I've just mentioned. This is normal. It's expected. It definitely does go away. But just to understand that you're not off track, you haven't blown it all, you don't need to start again, because some of that mindset of that feeling like, oh, I've stuffed it up, it can go one or two ways. People can generally tidy up, or they can just continue on. And it's like, oh, well, what's the point? I've just made a real mess of this. I might as well start in the new year. But the new year is another 7 days or 8 days, depending on when your Easter or your Christmas, celebrations are. So I think it's really important to think about that and just sort of go, okay, look, this is completely normal. I'll get back to my routine and it'll all settle down. It'll be fine. Now, what happens if you do happen to completely, absolutely get off track in the most spectacular way? That is no problems and it is completely fine. Don't wait days or weeks or the end of the summer holidays to get back into your groove of healthy eating again. You don't need a detox. You don't need a cleanse. You don't need to punish yourself with extra workouts. Just the next day. Start the day with a healthier option. Drink more water. Get back to your protein and your veg, whatever it looks like to you. Just the next available opportunity, just like nothing has happened. Just dive straight back into your healthy eating, and getting back into that is going to eliminate a lot more days of unnecessary overeating and extra consumption of calories that you just don't need. So there you have it. They're my top tips. The main ones are making sure that there's no guilt after eating, making sure that you are choosing the best options for yourself, the ones that you enjoy. Take smaller bites to enjoy everything, making sure you're stopping at 80% full. Try and get as much protein and try and get a protein at each of your meals, and just reset super, super quickly. Enjoy the festive time. I don't believe it's a time to start any new healthy eating plans, but it is time just to respect ourselves and look after ourselves with the kindness of wellness. Thanks for joining me on this segment from Wellbeing Wednesdays, as heard live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might find it helpful, and subscribe so you never miss a show. Want to catch the live broadcast? Well, you can tune in Wednesdays from 12 till 2 p.m. on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM, or find my info on Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group. Take care, stay healthy, and remember, it's the little choices every day that create big changes. Talk soon.